The night sky of planet Zorax glowed with 3 moons as Valeria stood at the edge of the royal gardens. Her long blue skin shimmered under the moonlight, and her forearms hung limp at her sides. She was the daughter of Lord Krazer, ruler of the Zorian Empire, but that title meant nothing. Now Valeria had been rejected. Her father had announced that morning that she was too weak to inherit his throne. He called her soft and declared her younger sister the heir instead. Now Valeria had only 2 options: leave her home planet or face humiliation for the rest of her life. The sound of an alarm broke through her thoughts. Red lights flashed across the royal city. A strange ship had entered their atmosphere. Without thinking, Valeria ran toward the commotion. The ship crashed in a field not far from the palace. It was unlike any Zorian craft, small and primitive with markings she could not read. Steam rose from its damaged hull as a hatch opened. A figure stumbled out and collapsed. Valeria approached carefully. The being looked strange with only 2 arms and legs. Its skin was a pale color, and it had hair on top of its head. She recognized the species from her studies, a human from planet Earth. But what was one doing here? Millions of light years from its home. The human was female and injured. Valeria knelt beside her and checked for signs of life. The human opened her eyes. They were green like the sacred pools of Zorax. "Help me," the human whispered before losing consciousness. Against her better judgment, Valeria lifted the human with her forearms and carried her away from the crash site. The royal guards would be here soon, and they would not be kind to an intruder. Valeria took the human to a small cave in the mountains where she sometimes went to escape her royal duties. Hours later, the human awoke with a start. "Where am I? Who are you?" "I am Valeria, daughter of Lord Krazer." Though not for much longer, she handed the human a container of water. "What do they call you?" "Olivia." The human replied, taking a careful sip. "Olivia Riley, thank you for helping me." "Why are you here, human?" "Your kind has never ventured this far into space." Olivia sat up, wincing. "We have now. I was sent as a scout. Earth is in danger. The Drakari Empire is planning to invade our system. I was gathering intelligence when they detected me. I escaped, but they damaged my ship. I ended up here by accident." Valeria felt her heart's race. The Drakari were the sworn enemies of the Zorians. They had fought for centuries over territory and resources. "My father would never ally with the Drakari, but he will not help your planet either. He believes humans are beneath us. Then Earth is doomed," Olivia said, her voice breaking. Something stirred inside Valeria. She had always disagreed with her father about other species. She believed all life had value. This human had traveled across the galaxy alone to save her people. Such courage deserved respect. "Perhaps not," Valeria said. "I know Drakari weaknesses. I know how their ships operate, and I have nothing left to lose here." Olivia looked at her with hope. "What are you saying?" "I will help you. I will go with you to Earth." The next morning, Valeria returned to the palace. She needed supplies for their journey. She moved through the halls like a ghost, avoiding the guards. She entered her chambers for the last time and gathered her few treasured possessions. A star map her mother had given her before she died, a small device that could translate most galactic languages, and a ceremonial blade that marked her royal status. As she was about to leave, her sister Mesra entered the room. Her eyes widened at the sight of Valeria packing. "So you are running away just as father predicted you would," Mesra said with a sneer. "You prove him right with every action." "I am not running, I am choosing my own path," Valeria replied. "Something you will never understand." "Where will you go?" "No planet in the Empire will welcome the rejected princess." "There are worlds beyond our Empire, worlds father has taught you to fear but has never seen himself." Mesra stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. "You mean that crashed ship, the one with the human? They found it empty." "They are searching for the pilot now, Valerius." Heart skipped, but she kept her face calm. "I know nothing of that. Lies, I see the truth in your eyes, sister. You always were terrible at deception." Mesra moved to the door. "I should call the guards." Valeria moved with unexpected speed. She grabbed Mesra with two of her arms while the other two collected her bag. I cannot let you do that. You would harm your own sister. I would never harm you, Valeria said softly. But I cannot stay here and I cannot let you stop me. She pressed a small device against Mesra's neck. The younger princess slumped unconscious. Valeria laid her gently on the bed. Farewell, sister. Perhaps one day you will understand. Valeria slipped out of the palace using secret passages she had discovered as a child. She made her way back to the cave where Olivia waited. The human looked better after rest, but her ship was beyond repair. We need another way off this planet, Olivia said, examining the damaged hull of her craft. There is a transport bay at the edge of the city. Merchant ships come and go. They are not as heavily guarded as military vessels we could stow away. Won't they look for you? Eventually. But my father will likely tell everyone I left in shame. He would not admit that his daughter chose exile over his rule. His pride would not allow it. They waited until nightfall. Then they made their way to the transport bay. Valeria knew the patrol patterns. She had watched them for years from her window, dreaming of escape. They slipped past the guards and onto a cargo ship bound for the trading post on Nexus, a neutral planet at the edge of Zorian space. The ship rumbled to life as they hid among containers of exotic fruits. From there they could find passage to Earth. Valeria felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. She was leaving everything she had ever known. But for the first time in her life, she was making her own choice as the ship lifted off. Valeria looked out a small viewport. She watched her home world grow smaller until it was just another star in the vast darkness. This was not an ending, she realized, but a beginning. The journey to Nexus took 7 days. During that time, Valeria and Olivia stayed hidden in the cargo hold. They survived on the exotic fruits stored in the containers and water they collected from condensation pipes Valeria taught Olivia about, the stars they passed and the planets that orbited them. In return, Olivia told stories of Earth, its oceans and forests, its many cultures, and its history. Humans fight each other so often, Valeria observed after hearing about Earth wars. We do, Olivia admitted, but we also work together when we need to. The Drakari threat has united Earth in a way nothing else could. The Drakari do that wherever they go. They create unity through fear. The ship docked at Nexus, a massive space station that served as a trading hub for dozens of species. Valeria had never been there, but she had studied it. She knew which areas would welcome Zorians and which would not. They waited until the cargo was unloaded, then slipped away into the crowded market's Nexus. Was a riot of sounds and smells. Beings of all shapes and sizes bartered and shouted and moved in endless streams through the corridors. Olivia stayed close to Valeria, overwhelmed by the diversity. Neither of them noticed the hooded figure watching them from the shadows. They found a small tavern in a quieter section of the station. The owner, a six-legged being with compound eyes, did not seem surprised to see a Zorian traveling with a human. We need passage to the Sol system, Valeria said, placing some of her personal jewelry on the counter. This should cover the cost. The owner examined the jewelry with one appendage while serving drinks with another. Sol system is far and dangerous. The Drakari patrol those sectors heavily. We know, but we must go. The owner made a clicking sound that might have been a sigh. There is a pilot, Maya Nguyen. She takes risks for the right price. Her ship leaves tomorrow. Find her in Bay 17. They rented a small room for the night. It was barely large enough for both of them, but it was safe. Olivia collapsed on the bed, exhausted from their journey. Valeria stayed awake, watching the artificial stars through the small window. You could stay here, Olivia said suddenly. You don't have to come to Earth. You could make a life here away from your father. Valeria turned to look at her. I made a choice. I will see it through. Besides, I think your Earth might be interesting. The next morning, they made their way to Bay 17. A sleek ship, unlike any Valeria had seen before, was being loaded with supplies. A woman with dark hair pulled back in a tight braid was checking a manifest. She looked up as they approached. Her eyes widened slightly at the sight of Valeria, but she showed no other reaction. Maya Nguyen, Olivia asked. Who wants to know? We need passage to Earth, the Sol system. Maya laughed. You and half the galaxy, it seems. Everyone wants to see if the rumors are true, if humans really have found a way to detect Drakari cloaking technology. Have they? Valeria asked, her hearts racing. No idea, but the Drakari seem worried enough to increase patrols. She looked them over. Why should I risk my ship and crew to take you there? Valeria stepped forward. Because I have information that could help Earth defend itself. I know Drakari weaknesses. Maya narrowed her eyes. And you are? My name is Valeria. I am. She hesitated. I was the daughter of Lord Krazer of Zorax. A Zorian princess, Maya whistled. Now that's interesting. The Zorians have stayed neutral in this conflict. Your father refused all requests for aid from Earth. I am not my father. Maya considered them for a long moment. My fee just doubled, and I want that information too. Any edge against the Drakari is worth having. Valeria placed the rest of her jewelry on a nearby crate. Will this cover it? Maya examined the pieces and nodded. We leave in 2 hours. Be ready and keep a low profile. I don't want trouble before we even clear the station. As I gathered supplies for the journey, the hooded figure who had been watching them approached a communication terminal. The figure entered a code and waited. After a moment, a harsh face appeared on the screen. Report. The face demanded. The princess is here. She travels with a human. They seek passage to Earth. Who provides this passage? Maya Nguyen, the smuggler. The face grew darker. Intercept them. The human is expendable, but the princess must be taken alive. Her father has offered a substantial reward. And the information she carries. Extract it then. Eliminate her. Lord Krazer does not wish his disgrace of a daughter to continue embarrassing him by consorting with lesser species. 2 hours later, Valeria and Olivia boarded Maya's ship, the Guardian. It was smaller than they expected, with a crew of only 5. They were shown to a cabin hardly bigger than their room at the station. It's not luxury, but it will get you there, Maya said. We make one stop at Outpost Delta for fuel, then straight to Sol. Estimated journey time 13 days if we don't run into trouble. And if we do? Olivia asked. Maya patted the blaster at her hip. Then we handle it. The Guardian may not look like much, but she's got some surprises for anyone who comes looking. The ship departed from Nexus without incident. They entered the jump stream, a method of faster-than-light travel that Valeria had only read about. The stars outside became streaks of light as the ship accelerated. Valeria spent hours in the engine room, studying the technology. The engineer, a quiet woman named Elise, showed her how the jump drive worked. Olivia, meanwhile, trained with Maya's security officer, learning to use various weapons. She had basic military training, but alien weapons were new to her. On the 5th day, they reached Outpost Delta, a refueling station on the edge of neutral space. As they docked, Valeria felt uneasy. She mentioned it to Maya. Trust those instincts, the captain replied, checking her weapons. I've survived this long by listening to mine. Stay aboard while we refuel. Maya and 2 crew members left to arrange the refueling. Valeria watched from a viewport. As they walked across the docking bay, a group of armed figures emerged from behind containers. Trap. Valeria shouted into the ship's comm system. Maya, it's a trap. The captain dove for cover as blaster fire erupted around her. The 2 crew members were hit immediately. Valeria saw Maya return fire, dropping 2 attackers before retreating toward the ship. Seal the ship, Maya shouted through her comm. Prepare for emergency departure. Elise ran to the engine room. Olivia grabbed weapons from the armory. Valeria rushed to the airlock. The ship's alarms blared as external sensors detected multiple hostiles approaching. Maya made it back to the ship, bleeding from a shoulder wound. Bounty hunters, she gasped as the airlock sealed behind her. Working for the Drakari, or maybe your father. We need to leave now, Valeria said, helping Maya to the bridge. Can't. The fuel lines are still connected. Maya grimaced in pain. Someone needs to manually disengage them. I can do it, Valeria said. Show me how. Maya quickly explained the procedure. You'll be exposed. There are external controls on the docking clamps. I have 4 arms. I can work faster than any of you. Before anyone could argue, Valeria took a blaster and headed to the auxiliary airlock. On the other side of the ship from where the attackers were concentrating, she cycled through and emerged onto the station's docking platform. The fuel lines connected to the ship with heavy clamps. She moved quickly, disengaging them one by one. Just as she released the last clamp, a blaster bolt hit the platform near her feet. She turned to see 3 bounty hunters approaching. She fired back, forcing them into cover. Then she ran for the airlock. As she reached it, a net fired from one of the hunters' weapons, entangling her lower arms. She fell, struggling to free herself. A shadow fell over her. She looked up, expecting to see a bounty hunter. Instead, it was Olivia, wielding a massive Zorian battle staff she must have found in the ship's armory. With surprising strength, she swung it, knocking the nearest hunter off the platform. Then, she helped Valeria free herself from the net. The lines are clear, Valeria shouted into her comm as they retreated to the airlock. Get us out of here. The ship's engines roared to life. As the airlock cycled shut, Valeria saw more bounty hunters arriving. They fired desperately at the ship, but it was too late. The Guardian pulled away from the station and immediately jumped to lightspeed. That was too close, Maya said when they returned to the bridge. Her wound had been bandaged. They knew exactly when we would arrive. We have a spy, Elise said, looking at each crew member suspiciously. Or we were tracked, Valeria suggested. The Drakari have technology that can follow jump stream signatures. Either way, we need to be more careful. Maya turned to Olivia. Nice moves back there. Not many humans can handle a Zorian battle staff. I have a good teacher. Olivia smiled at Valeria for the rest of the journey. They took turns standing watch. They changed course multiple times to throw off any pursuers. Despite their precautions, Valeria could not shake the feeling that they were being followed, that someone was watching and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. 8 days after the incident at Outpost Delta, the Guardian approached the Sol system. Valeria felt a strange mix of emotions as the blue and green planet called Earth came into view. It was smaller than Zorax, but somehow more vibrant, more alive. She stood on the bridge with Olivia, watching as they entered orbit home. Olivia said softly, I never thought I would see it again. It's beautiful, Valeria admitted. Different from what I expected. Maya joined them at the viewport. Earth Defense Command is hailing us. They want identification. Tell them Olivia Riley is aboard, Olivia said. Authorization code, Lima 729. Echo, Maya relayed the message. After a tense moment, a response came through. Welcome back, Lieutenant Riley. Your return is unexpected but welcome. Please proceed to Lunar Base Alpha for security clearance. Lunar Base Alpha was built into the surface of Earth's moon. It served as the first line of defense for the planet and as a processing center for all incoming ships. As the Guardian docked, Valeria saw the massive weapon arrays positioned around the base. Will they welcome me? She asked Olivia, a Zorian. I won't lie, it won't be easy. Some will see you as the enemy, but I will vouch for you. And once they hear what you know about the Drakari, they will listen. They were met at the airlock by a squad of armed soldiers. A woman with short gray hair and a uniform covered in metals stepped forward. Her face was stern, but her eyes were intelligent. Lieutenant Riley, she said, we thought you were lost. Nearly was General Summers. This is Captain Nguyen. Her ship rescued me. The general nodded to Maya, then turned her attention to Valeria. Her expression hardened. And this is Valeria, former princess of Zorax. She saved my life and she has critical information about Drakari defenses. Azorian. General Summers said, her voice cold. Your father refused our requests for alliance. I am not my father, Valeria replied, holding her head high. All 4, hands visible to show she carried no weapons. I believe our species can help each other. The Drakari are the common enemy. They will destroy your world as they have many others. She saved my life, Olivia added, and she knows how to defeat Drakari, shields. After a long moment, General Summers nodded. You will both be debriefed. Follow me. The debriefing lasted hours. Valeria explained everything she knew about Drakari technology, their shield frequencies, their weapon systems, their tactical preferences. She drew diagrams and provided specifications that the Earth scientists had never seen. She told them about the weakness in Drakari shields, how they could not maintain integrity when hit with a specific frequency, something the Zorians had discovered, but kept secret. Why would you share this with us? Asked a scientist, a woman named Samantha Wells. Your people have guarded this secret for generations. Because the Drakari must be stopped, Valeria said simply. They do not conquer. They consume. They leave nothing behind. And if they take Earth, they will eventually take Zorax as well. The Earth leaders were skeptical at first, but the detailed information Valeria provided was too valuable to ignore. After much debate, they agreed to incorporate her knowledge into their defense plans. You will work with Dr. Wells to develop weapons that can exploit this weakness. General Summers told Valeria. Lieutenant Riley will assist you both. What about my crew? Maya asked. We were promised payment. You will be compensated, Captain, and you are welcome to remain here. Your ship could be valuable in the coming conflict. In the days that followed, Valeria, Olivia, and Samantha worked tirelessly. They developed prototypes, tested frequencies, and refined their designs. Valeria was impressed by the human scientists' creativity. They approached problems differently than Zorians, less bound by tradition, more willing to try new approaches. During this time, Valeria learned much about humans. They were physically weaker than Zorians, but their determination was unlike anything she had seen. They worked together despite their differences. Their loyalty to each other impressed her most of all. Olivia stayed by her side, teaching her about Earth customs. In return, Valeria shared stories of her homeworld. They grew close despite coming from worlds light years apart. Do you miss Zorax? Olivia asked one night as they looked at the stars from an observation deck. I miss what it could have been, Valeria replied. My father rules with fear. I always believed there was another way. Maybe someday you can return and show them that other way. Valeria touched Olivia's hand with one of her own. Perhaps. But first we must ensure Earth survives. Their work was interrupted. When alarm sounded throughout the base, a fleet of ships had appeared at the edge of the solar system. Drakari warships, dozens of them, including a massive vessel that dwarfed all others. General Summers called an emergency meeting. They have arrived. Sooner than expected. Intelligence suggests they have brought a planet killer, a weapon capable of destroying Earth with a single blast. They must have followed us somehow, Maya said. I'm sorry. It's not your fault, Valeria assured her. The Drakari have been planning this attack for months. Our weapons are not ready, Samantha reported. We have prototypes, but nothing deployed at scale. Then we adapt, Olivia said. We modify what we have. We use the knowledge Valeria has given us. We need more time. Samantha argued, we don't have time. General Summers looked at the tactical display. The Drakari fleet will reach Earth in 48 hours. We deploy what we have. We fight with what we have. The next 2 days were a blur of activity. Earth ships were hastily equipped with modified weapons. The prototypes Samantha had developed were replicated and distributed. Valeria worked alongside human engineers, explaining, adjusting, advising. She noticed that some humans still regarded her with suspicion, but most had accepted her presence. Some even sought her advice. Beyond the technical help she provided, Valeria offered insights into Drakari psychology, their tactics, their weaknesses. She had studied them all her life, as had all Zorian nobility on the eve of battle. Valeria stood again at the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The Drakari fleet was visible now, a collection of dark shapes against the starfield, advancing inexorably toward Earth. She felt someone join her. It was General Summers. Your information has been invaluable, the general said. You have given us a chance where we had none. A small chance. Sometimes a small chance is all we need. Summers turned to look at her. I must ask you, do you have any reason to believe your father might join this fight? Valeria laughed bitterly. My father would never risk Zorian lives to save humans. He believes the strong survive and the weak perish. It is the natural order in his view. And you disagree, I believe. Strength comes in many forms: compassion, cooperation, courage. These are strengths my father does not recognize, but they are real nonetheless. The general nodded. Well said, Valeria of Zorax. She extended her hand, a human gesture of respect that Valeria had learned. Whatever happens tomorrow, know that Earth thanks you. Valeria took the general's hand with one of her own. I do not do this for thanks, I do it because it is right. That night, Valeria could not sleep. She paced her small quarters thinking of all that had happened since she left Zorax. Her life had changed completely in such a short time. She had found purpose among these humans, a sense of belonging she had never known at home. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Olivia entered looking as restless as Valeria felt. I couldn't sleep either, the human admitted. Too much on my mind. What do you think of our chances tomorrow? Valeria asked. Honestly, not good, but better than they would have been without you. They sat together in comfortable silence for a while. Then Olivia spoke again. If we survive this, what will you do? I have not thought beyond tomorrow. You could stay on Earth. You would be welcome now. I think you could be a bridge between our worlds. Valeria considered this. Perhaps, though I doubt my father would approve. Does his approval still matter to you? No. Valeria realized it was true. It does not. The morning brought the battle. The Drakari fleet had reached Mars orbit. Earth ships moved to intercept the Guardian. Among them, Maya had volunteered to lead a squadron of smaller craft. Their mission was to target the support vessels while the main Earth fleet engaged the larger Drakari ships. Valeria, Olivia, and Samantha were assigned to a special task force. Their mission was crucial. They would board the Drakari command ship, the one carrying the planet killer, and disable it from within. It was a desperate plan with little chance of success, but it was the best option they had, as their small stealth ship departed from lunar base. Valeria looked back at Earth. It seemed so fragile from space, so vulnerable and yet so worth protecting. She turned to see Olivia watching her. Are you ready? The human asked. Valeria flexed all four of her arms. I am ready. Let us show the Drakari that Earth is not so easily conquered, and let us show my father that humans are not the weak species he believes them to be. Their ship accelerated toward the massive Drakari command vessel. The greatest challenge of their lives lay ahead. But for the first time since leaving Zorax, Valeria felt truly certain of her path. She was where she needed to be. The battle for Earth began in the cold emptiness of space between Mars and Earth. The Drakari fleet advanced in perfect formation, their black ships absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Earth vessels seemed tiny in comparison, but they were, armed with the new weapons Samantha had created based on Valeria's knowledge. The first volley of modified torpedoes struck a Drakari cruiser. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's shields flickered and collapsed. Secondary weapons tore through the exposed hull. The cruiser listed, then exploded in a silent flash of light. It works, Samantha exclaimed, watching the tactical display in their stealth ship. The shield disruption works. More Earth ships targeted Drakari vessels. The massive alien fleet began to break formation as commanders tried to adapt to this unexpected vulnerability. But the largest ship, the command vessel, remained untouched, protected by layers of escorts. We need to get closer, Olivia said from the pilot's seat. The stealth system won't hold if they start actively scanning. Their small ship darted through the chaos of battle, moving ever closer to the Drakari command ship. Valeria monitored enemy communications using her knowledge of Drakari transmission codes. They were confused, angry. The Drakari commander was demanding explanations for the shield failures. They suspect Zorian involvement. Valeria translated. They know my people discovered this weakness centuries ago. They do not yet suspect I am here. Good, said Samantha. That gives us the element of surprise. As they approached the massive command ship, they saw the planet killer, a terrible weapon mounted on the underside of the vessel. It resembled a giant eye, its iris made of interlocking metal. Plate's energy pulsed at its center, building slowly. The weapon is charging, Valeria warned. We have perhaps 1 hour before it can fire. Olivia guided their ship to a maintenance airlock on the command vessel's lower hull. It was a blind spot in the Drakari defense system Valeria had remembered from her studies. They docked without detection and prepared to board. Remember the plan, Olivia said, checking her weapons. We get to the main engineering section. We plant the disruptor devices. On their power core, we get out before they detonate. And if we encounter resistance? Samantha asked nervously. She was a scientist, not a soldier. We have surprise on our side, Valeria assured her. And I know this ship design, there are maintenance tunnels the Drakari rarely monitor. We can use them to avoid patrols. They sealed their environmental suits and entered the Drakari vessel. The interior was dark with red emergency lighting casting ominous shadows. The air was thicker than Earth, normal but breathable. The gravity slightly stronger. The corridors were designed for the larger Drakari, making the humans seem small. Valeria, however, stood tall, her forearms ready for action. They moved through the ship following Valeria's directions. Twice they had to hide in recessed doorways as Drakari patrols passed. The massive reptilian aliens moved with surprising grace despite their size, their scales shifting colors slightly to match the surrounding darkness. They can sense heat, Valeria whispered. Our suits mask our signatures, but not completely. Keep your distance. They reached a maintenance access point. Valeria operated the controls with practiced ease. The panel slid open, revealing a narrow tunnel. They crawled inside Samantha, leading the way with a scanner that would help them locate the power core. The tunnels were cramped even for the humans. Valeria had to fold her secondary arms against her body to fit. Through grates and vents, they could see the ship operations Drakari, warriors at battle stations, engineers monitoring systems, commanders reviewing tactical displays. They're celebrating already, Valeria translated as they passed a group of officers. They believe the battle is merely a formality. The planet killer cannot be stopped once activated. They're wrong, Olivia said grimly. We're going to stop it. After what seemed like hours of crawling through the tunnels, they reached the central engineering section. The power core towered before them, a column of pulsing energy surrounded by control stations. Several Drakari engineers moved about the room monitoring readings. The disruptors need to be placed at 3 points around the core, Samantha said quietly. Equidistant from each other, they'll create a feedback loop that will destabilize the entire power system. How do we get past the engineers? Olivia asked. Valeria studied the room. There. She pointed to a control panel near the door. If I can trigger the environmental alarms, they will evacuate. Temporarily, safety protocols. Can you reach it without being seen? I must try. Before the others could stop her, Valeria slipped out of the maintenance tunnel. Using the shadows for cover, she moved along the wall. Her blue skin helped her blend with the dark metallic surfaces of the Drakari ship. She reached the control panel and quickly entered a series of commands. Alarms blared throughout the section. Red warning lights flashed. The Drakari engineers looked up in confusion. A harsh voice spoke. Over the communication system, Valeria gestured urgently to Olivia and Samantha. They are evacuating, she called. We have minutes at most. The engineers rushed from the room, sealing the doors behind them. As soon as they were gone, the 3 women moved to the power core. Samantha removed the disruptor devices from her pack. 3 small devices each, no larger than a human palm, but containing technology that combined Zorian knowledge with human innovation. Here, here, and here, Samantha indicated, points around the core. Olivia placed the first device, Valeria the second. Samantha was about to place the third. When the doors slid open, a massive Drakari stood in the doorway. its scales a deep crimson indicating high rank, its eyes like burning coals fixed on them intruders. It hissed in its own language. Humans, and its eyes widened. Azorian. Valeria stepped forward, placing herself between the Drakari and her companions. She recognized the markings on its armor. Commander Craxus. You know me, little blue one? The commander seemed amused. Yet I do not know you. I am Valeria, daughter of Lord Krazer of Zorax. The amusement vanished, replaced by rage. The rejected princess. The disgraced Craxus drew a weapon, a blade that hummed with energy. Your father sends his regards. He has offered a handsome bounty for your head. My father and I no longer speak, Valeria replied, drawing her own ceremonial blade. It seemed small compared to the Drakari weapon, but it was sharp and familiar. In her hands, and you will not destroy this planet. Bold words from a failed princess and two weak humans. While Valeria held the commander's attention, Olivia moved slowly around the edge of the room, positioning herself behind Craxus. Samantha continued to work on the final disruptor. Her hands shaking but determined, Craxus lunged forward with surprising speed for his size, his energy blade slicing the air where Valeria had stood a moment before. She dodged, using all four arms to maintain her balance. She struck back, her blade connecting with the commander's armor, leaving a scratch but nothing more. Zorian steel, Craxus laughed. Pretty, but useless against Drakari battleplate. Valeria attacked again, this time aiming for the joints in the armor, where it was weakest. Her blade found a gap, drawing dark Drakari blood. Craxus roared in pain and anger. His next attack was a flurry of strikes that forced Valeria back. Olivia seized the opportunity. She fired her weapon, a modified blaster that Samantha had enhanced with Valeria's knowledge. The shot hit Craxus in the back, disrupting his personal shield. The commander staggered forward, then turned toward this new threat. The device is set. Samantha called. We have 10 minutes. Craxus realized what they had done. No. He bellowed, you cannot. He charged towards Samantha. Valeria threw herself at him, tackling him with all four arms. They crashed to the floor, the impact knocking Valeria's blade from her hand. Craxus was stronger, his massive form pinning her down. His energy blade inched toward her throat. Your father will be disappointed, Craxus hissed. He wanted you alive. But I will tell him you died fighting like a true Zorian warrior. Perhaps that will ease his shame. Suddenly Craxus jerked and roared in pain. Olivia had driven Valeria's fallen blade into the back of his knee, finding a gap in the armor. The commander rolled away from Valeria, trying to reach the human who had wounded him. Run, Valeria shouted, pushing herself up. The disruptors. They fled from the engineering section, Craxus limping but in pursuit. They reached the maintenance tunnel. Samantha went first, then Olivia. Valeria turned to face the commander one last time. This is for all the worlds you have destroyed, she said, and all the ones you never will. She dove into the tunnel, pulling the access panel closed behind her. They crawled as fast as they could, hearing Craxus' rage echoing behind them. The commander was too large for the tunnel, but he could alert the entire ship. They emerged near their docking point. 2 Drakari guards stood between them and their ship. Valeria didn't hesitate. She charged forward, using all 4 arms to grapple with the first guard, while Olivia and Samantha dealt with the second. Valeria lifted the guard and threw him against the wall with all her strength. The guard crumpled to the floor. They reached their ship and rushed inside. Olivia jumped into the pilot's seat and began the startup sequence. The airlock disengaged. With a hiss, the small ship pulled away from the Drakari vessel just as alarms began to sound throughout the massive ship. We have 2 minutes, Samantha said, watching the countdown on her device. We need distance. Olivia pushed the engines to maximum. The small ship shot away from the command vessel behind them. Drakari fighters scrambled to pursue, but they were too late. Valeria awoke to the sound of beeping machines. She was in a white room, lying on a bed. Her body ached, her secondary right arm was immobilized in some kind of support device. She tried to sit up. Easy there, princess. A familiar voice said. You took quite a hit. Maya Nguyen sat beside the bed. Her own arm was bandaged, but she was smiling. Olivia, Samantha. Valeria asked, her voice rough. Both alive. both recovering. The doc says you'll all be fine. Zorians are tough, apparently. Relief flooded through. Valeria, the battle over, we won. Maya leaned forward. After you three took out the command ship, the Drakari lost their advantage. Earth ships used your shield frequency trick to devastate their fleet. The rest retreated, jumped out of the system. They might be back someday, but not soon. Valeria relaxed against the pillows. Where am I? Earth United Defense Hospital, New York. That crash landing of yours made quite an impression. Literally. You left a crater in Central Park. I hope no one was hurt. No, but you've become quite the celebrity. The alien princess who saved Earth people are calling you a hero. All three of you. Valeria was not used to being called a hero. In her father's court, she had always been the disappointment, the failure, the one who cared too much. Now on this alien world, her compassion was seen as strength. Over the next few days, Valeria recovered quickly. Zorian physiology was more resilient than human. She was able to visit Olivia and Samantha in their rooms. The three women who had saved Earth together formed a bond that transcended their different origins. 1 week after the battle, Valeria was summoned to a meeting with Earth leadership. General Summers greeted her warmly. No longer the suspicious military commander, but a respectful ally, Valeria of Zorax. The general said, "Earth owes you a debt we can never repay." "You owe me nothing." Valeria replied, "I found something here I never had on Zorax, a place where I am valued for who I am not, who my father wanted me to be." The meeting was larger than Valeria had expected. Representatives from Earth nations sat around a large table, scientists, military leaders, politicians. They applauded as she entered, the sound strange to her ears. General Summers guided her to a seat at the head of the table. "We have been discussing the future, our relationship with the wider galaxy, our need for allies." She looked directly at Valeria. "We would like you to be our ambassador to Zorax." Valeria was stunned. "My father would never receive me." "Perhaps not," said a new voice. Valeria turned to see Olivia entering the room. She walked with a slight limp, but her eyes were bright. "But things have changed." Olivia placed a data pad on the table and activated it. A holographic display appeared showing a Zorian news broadcast. Valeria recognized the broadcaster, a well-respected figure in the Empire. Reports confirm that Princess Valeria, formerly rejected by Lord Krazer, played a crucial role in defeating the Drakari fleet at Earth. The translator rendered the Zorian words into English. Sources within the royal court suggest Lord Krazer is reconsidering his position on human alliance. The defeat of the Drakari command ship has shifted the balance of power. Public opinion has turned in favor of Princess Valeria, with many calling for her return. The broadcast ended. Valeria sat in silence, trying to process this information. Her actions had changed things, not just on Earth, but on Zorax as well. "You see," Olivia said gently, "you have become a symbol, a bridge between worlds." "I don't know if I can face my father again," Valeria admitted. "There is too much between us. You don't have to decide now." General Summers assured her, "Earth would be honored to have you stay here as our guest, for as long as you wish." In the months that followed, Valeria learned more about Earth, its cultures, its people, its strange and wonderful diversity. She worked with scientists sharing Zorian knowledge. She studied Earth, history, and politics. She even appeared on television programs explaining alien customs to curious humans. Olivia became her constant companion, her guide to Earth, and eventually, her closest friend. They traveled together, exploring the planet from the ice of Antarctica to the deserts of Africa. Valeria saw it all and found beauty everywhere. News from Zorax continued to reach them. Lord Krazer had not publicly reversed his rejection of Valeria, but he had opened diplomatic channels with Earth. He had even agreed to a limited technology exchange, a first step perhaps toward greater cooperation. 1 year after the battle, Valeria stood on a beach watching the ocean waves crash against the shore. Olivia joined her carrying 2 drinks. "Penny, for your thoughts," Olivia said, handing Valeria one of the drinks. "I was thinking about choices. Valeria replied, about paths taken and not taken, regrets, no. Valeria smiled, gratitude. I was rejected by my father, cast out from my home, but that rejection led me here to Earth to a purpose greater than I could have imagined to. She hesitated. To you, Olivia touched Valeria's hand gently. I never thanked you properly for saving me that night on Zorax, and I never thanked you for showing me a different way to live, for helping me see that compassion is not weakness. They stood in comfortable silence watching the sun set over the ocean, two women from different worlds united by circumstance and choice. The next day, a message arrived. From Zorax, it was from Mesra, Valeria's sister, now the heir to the Empire. The message was brief but clear. Father is ill. It read, he asks for you. Valeria read the message several times. The implications were enormous. Lord Krazer, proud ruler of the Zorian Empire, was reaching out to his rejected daughter. Will you go? Olivia asked when Valeria showed her the message. I must. Valeria replied. Not for him, but for Zorax, for the future. I'll go with you, Olivia said without hesitation. If you'll have me. Always. 2 weeks later, they boarded a ship bound for Zorax. It was a diplomatic vessel, the Harmony. The first joint Earth-Zorian design, Maya was its captain. She had accepted a commission in the new United Earth Fleet. Her smuggling days. Behind her, the journey to Zorax took 20 days. During that time, Valeria prepared herself for the reunion with her father. She did not expect forgiveness. She did not even want it, but she hoped for understanding, for a chance to show him a different way to rule. As they approached Zorax, Valeria stood at the viewport watching her home planet grow larger. Her emotions were complex. Her time on Earth had changed her. She was no longer the rejected princess seeking approval. She was Valeria Ambassador, protector hero in her own right. The royal palace looked exactly as she remembered it. The tall spires, the gleaming walls, the gardens where she had stood that fateful night. The night that had changed everything. Mesra met them at the landing pad, her expression guarded but not hostile. Sister, she said formally, welcome home. Thank you, Mesra. Valeria replied, this is Olivia Riley of Earth, my friend and colleague. Mesra studied the human with interest, the hero of the Drakari War. Your reputation precedes you, as does yours, Princess Mesra, Olivia said diplomatically. Mesra led them through the palace to the royal chambers. Guards and courtiers stopped to stare as they passed. The rejected princess had returned with a human at her side. It was unprecedented. Lord Krazer lay on a large bed surrounded by medical equipment. His once powerful frame was diminished by illness. His scales had lost their luster, but his eyes were still sharp, still proud. They fixed on Valeria as she entered, daughter. He said, his voice weaker than she remembered. You have returned. Yes, father. You disobeyed me. You allied with humans. You revealed our secrets to them. Valeria stood tall. All 4 arms relaxed at her sides. I did, and in doing so, I helped defeat the Drakari. I protected not only Earth but Zorax as well. Lord Krazer was silent for a moment. You were right, he said. Finally, the words clearly difficult for him. And I was wrong. The humans are not weak. Their strength is different but real. I see that now. Valeria had not expected this admission. She felt Olivia's presence beside her, a silent support. The Empire is changing. Lord Krazer continued. The people speak of you. They tell stories of your courage, your alliance with Earth. Some even call for you to take the throne. I do not want your throne, father. No, I believe you do not. That is why perhaps you should have it. He looked at Mesra. Your sister has learned much in your absence. She is not the ruler I tried to shape, but perhaps she will be a better one. Mesra stepped forward. I have studied your methods, sister, your diplomacy, your cooperation. I think perhaps there is wisdom in them. There is wisdom in both approaches, Valeria said. Strength and compassion. Balance, Lord. Krazer coughed, his body shaking with the effort. I do not have much time left. The healers can do little more. I asked you here not only to make peace, but to help guide Zorax into a new age, an age of cooperation with Earth and other worlds. I will help if I can, Valeria promised. But my place is not here. Not anymore. I have responsibilities to Earth. As ambassador. As friend. The old lord nodded slowly. Then we shall build a bridge between our worlds, a lasting alliance. He looked at Olivia. Beginning with you, human. The woman who helped my daughter become more than I ever imagined she could be. Olivia bowed respectfully. It has been my honor, Lord Krazer. Valeria has taught me as much as I have taught her in the days that followed. Valeria and Olivia worked with Mesra to draft a formal alliance between Earth and Zorax. It would be the first of its kind, a template for future agreements with other worlds, a foundation for peace, Lord. Krazer lived long enough to sign the treaty, his final public act as ruler. 3 days later, he passed peacefully. Mesra became the new lord of the Zorian Empire. The first female ruler in 10 generations, she asked Valeria to stay to help her transition.